Hello, my name is Bradle, and today I'm showing off a combo kill option for Black-Red Commander decks. This combo uses Woldgorger Dragon and Animate Dead to blink your entire board an infinite number of times. Instead of Animate Dead, you can also use Dance of the Dead or Necromancy, because they all have similar wording and all work in this combo. So you can have 3 redundant pieces in your commander deck. So I decided to do this combo because both cards have quite a lot of text, and specific printings of Animate Dead can be confusing if you're just trying to look at both of the cards and figure out what's going on there. So let's take a look here at Woldgorger Dragon. It is a 6-mana 7/7 with flying and trample, and when it enters the battlefield, you exile all other permanents you control, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you return the exiled cards back to the battlefield under your control, or under their owner's control if you had stolen any of your opponent's things. So it acts like a giant Oblivion Ring for your entire board. And Animate Dead is an enchantment that initially enchants a creature in the graveyard, and when it comes into play, it loses its enchant creature card put into a graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield, so that it can bring back Woldgorger Dragon and still be a valid target for it. And then it has the clause, when Animate Dead leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacrifices it, and the enchanted creature gets -1/-0. So if you reanimate Woldgorger Dragon with it, Woldgorger Dragon's trigger will exile the Animate Dead, and then you'll have to sack it. And that's the general idea. So we'll go ahead and loot to get our Woldgorger Dragon in the graveyard. And then we will Animate Dead the Woldgorger Dragon. And Animate Dead triggers, saying, hey, get it onto the battlefield. And Woldgorger Dragon triggers, saying, hey, get all this other stuff off the battlefield. And it all goes under Woldgorger Dragon. And then Animate Dead says, hey, I left the battlefield. Woldgorger Dragon needs to die. So Woldgorger Dragon dies and triggers to return everything back to the battlefield, including Animate Dead, which says, hey, what am I going to enchant here? And if Woldgorger Dragon is the only option, then it is by default going to be Woldgorger Dragon. We have to click on Magic Online, the aura first. I guess that's if you have multiples. Alright, and then we will get all of our triggered abilities on the stack for our creatures entering the battlefield again. You've got a Blister Stick Shaman here that pings when it enters the battlefield, and that's just kind of representative of the rest of your board state. And if your board state has something like Blister Stick Shaman in it, you'll get infinite triggers from this combo. And it's important if you're on Magic Online, when you get these triggers, that you click on the Animate Dead trigger to stack it first before the trigger from your other creature. Otherwise, this trigger will get stuck underneath the loop, basically, and it will be on the stack, and the combo will be repeating itself on the stack on top of it, and it will never get a chance to resolve. So we will click the Animate Dead first, and then it'll ask us what we want to ping, and we ping that, and that trigger resolves. Then the Animate Dead's trigger resolves to say Woldgorger Dragon needs to get back out here. And you can either respond to this to float mana, or you can wait until the Woldgorger Dragon comes out and triggers. And like Oblivion Ring, if the Woldgorger Dragon is removed with this trigger on the stack, then everything stays exiled forever. So if you have any removal for this combo and your opponent is doing it, this is when you would cast it, is when Woldgorger Dragon comes back into play and says, well, I guess you could do this on the first Woldgorger Dragon trigger, but basically in response to it is exile all other permanents, kill him, and then his leaves the battlefield trigger will have nothing to exile, and then this will exile all the permanents afterwards, and you will probably not be winning that commander game. So it's kind of a high risk, high reward scenario. You want to make sure your opponent's tapped out before you go for it. But you do also get infinite mana, since you see I have this floating mana, and I can continue to tap to float mana during this stage where my lands are actually in play and they'll come in untapped. So if you have maybe your win condition's not a Blister 6 Shaman or Gray Merchant or Begarden Hellkite, maybe it's a Valakut Invoker that just has pay 8 mana, do 3 damage thing. You can make infinite mana and deal infinite damage like that. Or if you have like a Staff of Nin, an artifact that pings, then you that's going to come into play untapped each time, and you can keep on activating it to deal infinite damage there. So there's a lot of ways once you get rolling with blinking, talking about blinking your board an infinite number of times, that you can win the game. But you do need to make sure that you're able to set that up. Otherwise, you're just going to sit here and durdle. And if you pull this off, and this can enchant your opponent's creatures, so neither you or your opponents have to have any other valid targets for Animate Dead, and the game will immediately end in a draw because you'll never be able to break this. But in Commander, that's not going to happen too often unless you can pull this off on turn 4 with the Faithless Looting. So you can rush it out, but if there's no other creatures, and if there are other creatures in graveyards rather, then you will eventually have to stop blinking so that the game can move on, if you're not actively killing people in between all your blinks. So I hope you enjoyed this video on the Woldgorger Dragon Animate Dead combo. If you have any suggestions for combos you'd like to see me do in future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.